Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. I'm your host, Javon Harrington, back to hit you with another video. And today we are here to continue Jujutsu Kaisen, Curse of Daishi, based on the Heroes of the Morphing Grid series, Part 2. But as always, if you're a fan of the channel and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcasting that's to come out now and in the future. I don't know if you can tell by the way my voice is at the moment, but I recently discovered that I've come down with a case of bronchitis. So I'm not really doing too well in terms of the throat and the coughing situation, but I've been doing well enough to be able to record a video a day. Usually after I take some medicine and I feel good enough, I'm able to get at least an hour in where I can record and, do a good enough job before it really starts getting bad. So I do apologize for the quality in some of the audio. I'm trying my best to rectify it. I don't feel too bad that I can't record, but at the same time, I know it's not up to my usual par. So trying to do, different voices for different characters, it's a little difficult when my voice is feeling the way that it is right now. But still, though, nothing's going to stop me from getting out this good content. As far as the Naruto Doctor Strange OVA, I hope to try to get it out tomorrow, but if not, I'm just going to have to save it for next week. I do apologize for that, but I haven't really been feeling well lately, so it's been really difficult trying to get out a lot of these videos and trying to do 2 in one day. It's more than my voice can take at the moment. But still, we're going to be moving along with this series today as we get into part 2 of the Jujutsu Kaisen Curse of Daishi series. And going into next week, we have a bunch of new series that will be kicking off as well. So I hope you stay tuned for that also. But anyway, without further ado, we're going to get straight into today's video. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. For Yuji, Nobara, and Megumi, their powers, not only as Jujutsu sorcerers, but also as Power Rangers, only continued to grow more and more as the trio trained and fought together. Not just in battling against cursed spirits, but also against the animal spirits as well. Those that were powered by that of the Renshi, the remnants of the army of the king of the beast animals themselves, Daishi. Each ranger took to using a special weapon in particular. For Yuji, he was proficient in the nunchaku. For Nobara, the bow staff. And for Megumi, the tongfa. Gojo oversaw their training, but even still, he could not be with the students at all times, as there were other cases that called his attention. One in particular, as they were hunting for the cursed box of Daishi. If Sukuna was already being revived was bad enough, the last thing they needed was the king of the beast, Daishi, to be revived as well. While Gojo was away, the trio would be called to West Tokyo City as a cursed spirit, potentially a special grade, had managed to escape and was roaming about in a detention center. As the group made their way there, they were warned that if danger became too great, they were to leave, as even for all of their power, Fighting against a special grade curse was no easy feat, even in ranger form. Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara would try to find any potential survivors. However, once they had gotten inside the detention center, a veil would appear, trapping them inside. All three would morph instantly as they pulled out their morph sunglasses. They would unleash their animal spirits as the three rangers rushed inside immediately, searching for anyone that could have survived the attack. While making their way through, though, the group would become separated, Nobara being pulled through a portal that opened instantly, only to close behind her. Megumi would have no choice but to use his Shikigami, infused with that of the Jaguar spirit, to move stealthily and quickly. He would send out his cursed spirit dogs to go and find Nobara. However, as they attempted to do so, both Yuji and Megumi would be approached by a special grade curse. A monstrous beast whose eyes never closed. The red and blue ranger respectively stood together side by side, attempting to face off this beast. They joined fighting in unison, Yuji with his nunchakas, and Megumi with his tongfa. The two working down to fight the cursed spirit. However, its power was far beyond anything that they could have imagined. If it wasn't for their ranger forms, there was no telling how long they would have survived. The situation only seemed to become more and more dire as the fight dragged on, and there was no telling if there were any more cursed spirits in the vicinity, and for the safety of Nobara. Yuji would look to Megumi, telling him to go and find her, stating that ultimately he could hold out on his own if he needed to. Yuji, on the other hand, did not want to do so. He wanted to leave. Megumi wanted to take him away. Yuji, on the other hand, believed in trying to help everyone, but Megumi didn't feel the same. When he asked why, Yuji was shocked by Megumi's answer. Megumi explained that, in the end, they were sent here to do what they could, but this was a detention center for criminals, not good people. In the end, while they were obligated to try and help wherever they could, it was like trying to save a bunch of lost causes. But Yuji didn't see it that way. In his eyes, all lives were worth saving, and as such, he wanted to do what he could. Megumi would disagree, and this would only prompt Yuji to ask why he bothered saving him that day then. If Jujutsu sorcerers weren't supposed to care and be indiscriminate, then why didn't he just let his friends and himself die? It would have been much easier. It would have made his mission a whole lot more simpler. So why had he compromised for his sake? Before he could answer, the special great curse would attack once again. Yuji would look to Megumi and tell him to escape and that he would catch up later. With no choice, Megumi would leave to go and find Nobara, getting her out to safety. The Jungle Fury Red Ranger left alone to fight against the special grade curse. Before he could even get serious, as he attempted to launch a strike with his nunchaku, his left hand would be cut off. He would yell out in immense pain, more pain than he could have ever experienced. He couldn't believe what he was feeling right now. The sheer overwhelming force and power. This was really going to be it. This was really going to be the end of him. He thought he could live up to his grandpa's ideals, do what he can, try to save everyone, help those in need. And yet look at him. Now he was about to die. Yuji was left with so many conflicting emotions at that moment. He wasn't sure of what to think or what to feel. All that talk, all that bravado, all of it just to die here. How could it end here? Not here. Not now. Yuji was backed into a corner, and he didn't have a choice. Deep within him, a voice would stir. So, Brat, it looks like you're at your end. Switch over with me, and I'll make sure we live. Yuji debated on what to do. He knew better than to trust Sukuna, but even still, what choice did he have? He had only been training for a month. Sure, his raw power was great and all, but in the end, he barely knew anything about cursed spirit energy, or more so, even how to use his own animal spirit. In the end, he didn't really have a choice. His consciousness would switch over with Sukuna, and Yuji's body would start to change. The body of the Red Jungle Fury Ranger would morph. The patterns on the suit that were black would turn red, and the main red portion of the suit would turn black, almost like Yuji had become the inverse of himself. Even the Jungle Fury logo on the chest of the Rangers, it too was inverse. This was the inverse Ranger form, all black with red trim, instead of the usual all red with black trim. This was the indication that Sukuna had taken over. Along with regrowing his hand, claws also appeared from out of his hands and feet, as Sukuna now realized he was in control. So, this is Ranger power. This is what it feels like to have an animal spirit. No wonder I had such trouble facing against you masters, and even Daishi. But now I have the best of both worlds, in you, my vessel. Now, let's see what the spirit of the tiger can really do. Curse technique. Tiger's barrage. A dark avatar of the tiger spirit would emerge from the Red Ranger as he mercilessly tore away at the special grade curse. The curse that once thought itself superior was now filled with fear, and Sukuna enjoyed it. He relished in it. And for eventually, he managed to destroy it. And in the process, he was rewarded, as he was given yet another finger, feeling himself taking more and more influence. Sukuna felt that now it was time to make his mark. Megumi waited outside of the correction center for Yuji to return. Nobara had gone to get help. He was hoping that Yuji could make it out okay, and he would be shocked as a burst of red would come flying out of the building, landing in front of him. He saw the inverse version of the Red Jungle Fury Ranger, and from its presence, he could sense very clearly that this was not Yuji Itadori, but rather, this was Ryomen Sukuna. Ah yes, the blue one. So nice to finally make your acquaintance again. I hope you're not waiting on your friend. You see, he's not going to be coming out anytime soon. But no need to worry. With what I'm about to do to his friends, it's better he doesn't come out anyway. Megumi had no idea on what to do now. Sukuna had taken over, and worse, he had done so and was now able to use Yuji's ranger power. Sukuna would then take his hand and place it to his chest. Using his sharp nails, he pierced inside, reaching inside of the chest before pulling out a beating heart. Well, you see, as a cursed spirit, I don't need one of these fine old things to survive, but I think your friend would beg to differ. He's free to try switching out with me if he wants to. However, he might find living pretty difficult if he does. You bastard! Give his body back now! Oh? Why so? It's not like you're going to be able to do anything anyway. Your friend is dead, and you will be soon to join him. But I'm feeling generous, so why don't you show me what you can do? Let's push ourselves to the limit now, shall we, Blue? In a blur, Sukuna would disappear before reappearing behind Megumi as the two rangers engaged one another in combat. Megumi was starting to be overwhelmed by the power of Sukuna. He had no idea he was capable of such strength. His cursed energy, it was more than anything that Megumi had ever experienced. And even more so, the more that Sukuna fought, the more he was able to better utilize the spirit of the tiger. Megumi would use his Shikigami in combination with his jaguar spirit, being able to match Sukuna for a while, and even impressing the King of Curses. The more that Sukuna saw from Megumi, the more he realized that Megumi had something to offer. All this talent. It was incredible. In the midst of their battle, Sukuna stopped for a minute. Megumi was badly beaten. He wasn't sure how much longer he had left. But Sukuna, he wanted to ask a few questions. Hey, probably not that it matters, but why did you run? Your power with the Shikigami, as well as your spirit of the jaguar, the stealth, the ability to use and blend with the shadows, all this untapped potential, and yet you chose to run away from the fight? Why give up so easily? You're really gonna ask me something like that? I'm just curious, kid. After all, from my expertise and all the time that I've spent fighting against you sorcerers and the animal spirits, I know talent when I see it. It's almost like yours was squandered. But still, no matter. You're gonna die here all the same. Hearing those words, it gave Megumi the resolve to stand once again, as he came face to face with Sukuna. You're right. I probably could have been so much better than I am now. But there is one thing I can assure you. Yuji is going to come back. You know, you asked me why I saved you. It's really not that complicated. I don't want good people to die. And you are a good person, Yuji Itadori. I know. Megumi would be shocked as the tone in his voice had changed. And now, Yuji Itadori had returned. I know, Fuguroshi. You're a good person, too. Tell Nobara and Gojo-sensei I'm sorry. I really tried my best. In the end, I just wasn't. Megumi would rush to Yuji's side as he demorphed instantly. There was nothing left but a hole inside of his chest. And where it used to be, there was no heart. Megumi would call in for backup, and Yuji's body would be collected and taken to the morgue. From what Megumi could see now, it seemed as though Yuji Itadori had died. Meanwhile, far off in another part of the city, a man by the name of Geto arrived into a local diner with a few allies of his. To the common eye, though, it appeared that it was only Geto who was in the diner. But he was not alone. The man, who appeared to be dressed like that of a monk, with stitches crossing all around his forehead. He was in the company of other cursed spirits. As they had gathered together, they had revealed that they were the ones who had caused the incident with the cursed womb, as they had planted Sukuna's finger there in the first place. Among the cursed spirits, one named Jogo was eager to move forward with his plans. You see, the cursed spirits, the animal spirits, and humanity had been locked in a three-way war for years now. Jogo hated humans because in his eyes, humans represent hypocrisy. It was from humans' own ill will, from their dark emotions, that cursed spirits existed in the first place. Negativity was in its purest form. They lied with positivity. In the end, a human was nothing but contradiction. And they themselves, they were the superior beings. But then there were those damned animal spirits. They too could be considered faultless. In the end, the war between the animal spirits and the cursed spirits was nothing more but for supremacy over the earth. If both sides could agree on one thing, it was that humans didn't deserve to be here. But just because that was the case, it didn't mean that the cursed spirits and the animal spirits got along either, as seen from the rivalry between Sukuna and Daishi. As they spoke, Geto revealed that in order for their plans to be met to fruition, two conditions would need to be met. First, they would have to immobilize Satoru Gojo. And second, they would need to make Sukuna an ally. Jogo asked how it would be impossible to kill Satoru Gojo. But Geto explained that a being like Satoru, whose power was beyond anything that could compare, and it was only shown by that of his animal spirit, Gojo was as free as the lone wolf, the spirit that he bore. Its representation making him the absolute strongest of all of the Jujutsu sorcerers. Someone like Satoru Gojo could not be killed so easily, but sealing him was a different matter. And then, there was the matter of getting Sukuna to be an ally. If it were to be true that the animal spirits were stirring, and that those in the camp of Daishi were going to make a move, then it was only going to be but before long before his forces would rise. Not just that of the Phantom Beast, but also that of the three masters themselves. Although Gojo was a bit confused, the three masters? There should only be but two, Connoisseur and Angelica. The third master, that being Grisaka, he died a year ago, didn't he? During the Night of 1,000 Curses? Bageto simply laughed. An animal spirit is no easier to destroy than a cursed spirit. But all the same, there was one more major problem that they had to deal with. And that was Yuji Itadori. From what they had been learned, the vessel for Sukuna was dead. Bageto simply smiled. Were you so sure about that? Do you really think that Sukuna would go down so easily? As they convened with one another in the Tokyo morgue, deep within the unconscious body of Yuji Itadori, in another dimension itself, a mindscape of a different reality, Yuji would awaken from the waters as he looked to see a throne made from the bodies and remains of his victims. And sitting on that throne was none other than Ryomen Sukuna. I hope you had fun having a joyride in my body, because I want it back. You ungrateful little brat. I help you, and this is the thanks you give me? Huh. Don't act like you did on my account. Well, you got that right. But seriously, Itadori, we need to talk. Oh yeah? And why is that? I have something you want, and you have something I want. So why don't we make a deal? I promise I won't betray you. As Yuji stood to face Sukuna, the meeting of the minds was now taking place. Within the mindscape of Yuji Itadori, a conflicting battle of ideologies. Who was there to trust? And in this three-way war for supremacy, which side would be left standing? Humans, cursed spirits, or the animal spirits? Only one would remain. This concludes Jujutsu Kaisen Curse of Daishi, based on the Heroes of the Morphing Grid series, Part 2. As always, if you're a fan of today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcasting that has to come out now and in the future. Also, next Monday, originally I was planning on doing the final part of What If Deku Was Iron Man as a 2-part special, but I have decided that instead we will be doing part 8, and part 8 will be the finale of the series, if you will, before we get into the multiverse of madness. So part 8 is just going to be one big epic finale, probably going to be an hour long plus. So for those of you who enjoy long videos, then you're in for a treat on Monday, but we will be reaching the finale of that series. Now, a brief note for some of the Marvel stories after the Multiverse of Madness. Some of them can continue if you want them to continue, and others will be brought to an end. But that's basically just going to be based on how I'm feeling at the time. After the major crossover stories, I kind of want to take a break from the multiverse and everything else. So I kind of want it to end there, but I just want you to keep that in mind. Since, in the My Hero story for What If Deku Was Iron Man, we will be wrapping up at Season 3, pretty much. But if you want, I can come back at a later point in time and go through Seasons 4, 5, potentially, and maybe even Season 6. But, that's just something to keep in mind going into the future with that series and everything else. So stay tuned for everything that's to come out now and in the future. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I am Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.